There's something about setting the hook with braid that I just love. Just the sound of that whistle that you hear. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yes, sir. All right, guys, man, welcome back to the channel. Man, a little bit about today. Water temperature is 94 degrees, and I want to come out here and I want to talk about not all fish are deep when the water's hot in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day down to the river.
You know, so we have literally been out here 5 minutes. I started right there. We had a bite right there. I can already tell you that my weight is not big enough. Yes, it'll get through that mat, but I want a heavy weight to where it gets through it clean. So I'm guessing that's a 3/4 ounce. I'm gonna take that off, go to a 1, and then I may have to go to a 1 ounce because the heavier the weight that I have, you know, one, it's gonna be a quicker down through. Two, I'm gonna be more effective. I'm sitting there jiggling it, trying to get it to go through. I'm wasting time to do that. So don't hesitate to go up in weight. Don't ever go down, especially when fishing mats like this, as shallow as it is. You know, you can actually catch them on a 2 ounce weight. It doesn't matter. It's not too much weight for the fish. It just, can you know, physically do it, the fatigue factor of it. But I'm gonna go up to a 1, see if it gets through it cleaner. If it doesn't, we'll go up to 1.25 ounces. Couple things about my setup right here, and we'll do a power stop breakdown at the end. But you know, I've got a little bobber stop right there, got braid. I think something that is super critical for me when I'm flipping, I always like to add this little brass ticker in there. I just feel like it just adds a little noise to it. So we got that in there, and I don't like to have too big a hook. You know, no matter what size fish you think you're going to catch, the bigger the hook that you put on this, the more chances are that it's going to get snagged up. So you know, I've got just a 3/0 hook, you know, fusion hook right there, and that's plenty. You know, if I go up to a 4 or 5, it's just overkill, and it just makes it that much more likely to get snagged when I bring it through. Golly. That fish right there wasn't but a couple, oh gosh, he's a big one. I'm gonna break my rod getting him in. All right, that's a good one. Man, I saw all the weeds move before, I never even felt anything, just all the weeds moved. All right guys, back to why we're here today and what we're doing. I'm gonna let this fish go real quick. Hold on a second. You know, a lot of times, you know, there's a misconception about fish being ultra deep when it's hot, you know, and the water temperature is 90.7 right now. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been here a little over an hour. We got that first bite right off the bat, and then we got that second bite, but back to why I think the misconception about fish being deep. You know, as it gets really hot, and if you don't have flowing water generating in your lake, I think a lot of times the best oxygen content is shallow. I think that's one reason. And then another reason is I think there's just fish that live shallow year round. And, you know, with all the electronics and all the forward-looking sonar, I think these shallow fish are gonna start to get kind of overlooked. So, you know, those are a couple reasons why that, you know, I wanna talk about they're not all deep in the summer. So let's get a couple more bites and we'll dive off into exactly what we're trying to do today. I'm a firm believer that there's a group of bass that chase shad. They relate to shad no matter if that shad swims across the lake, that shad swims down to the bottom, wherever those bass are, or wherever those shad are, that bass follows. I'm just a firm believer that there's a group of bass that are like that. You know, no matter where they go, across the lake, out in the middle, they just follow them. And then I think there's a group of bass that live on the bank. If a shad swims down the bank, he's gonna eat it. You know, when the bluegill go to spawning or a crawdad comes by, he's gonna eat it. And I think we've got 2 different type bass in all our lakes, as long as you have shad, you know, or perch or something that's offshore, I think you've got both, an offshore fish and a shallow fish. And so many times in the summer, with it getting hot, you know, that thermocline changes, and those deep fish, they suspend. They can be really hard to catch. And thus, that's why you can come to the bank, you know, and put the odds in your favor. You know, they're up high in the water column. They're gonna relate to, you know, the stuff up here on the bank, and you don't have to worry about trying to catch those suspended fish when they're out deep. Hey, real quick, let's stop and do our power stop breakdown, just so you guys will know. Man, I've got a 7.6 Bass Pro Platinum heavy action rod, 8:3-to-1 gear ratio reel. I'm very efficient with that. I've got just 50-pound braid on here. You could use 60. There's nothing wrong with it. It's heavy cover as I was flipping. Started with a 3/4 ounce weight, went to a 1. Now I'm all the way up to 1.5 ounces. Got a little clacker right there. I got a Fusion 3/0 hook. I kind of alternated between a couple different baits. That's a Berkley Chigger Crawl, that Max Scent Green Pumpkin Baby Blue. I love that color. Pretty basic, you know. So far, that's all I've caught them on. You'll notice I got some other rods out when I got here, like at 11:30. You know, I got these baits out, you know, a swim jig and a vibrating jig, and I didn't fish them very long so far. You know, maybe if I stay long today, maybe some of that stuff will come into play, but so far today, it's been that, you know, just that flipping setup with the conditions we got. I think these could come into play once that sun gets lower. I don't know if I'm gonna stay that long, but you know, right now that's what they're biting, so I'm gonna get back after it. That one's back in there. All right. I think I'm starting to kind of get it figured out just a little bit. You know, if we had been here earlier today, you know, we didn't start till noon, and he ate it good. Let me let this fish go. Awesome summertime bass. If we'd have been here early today, you know, I would have been fishing fast and on the outside edge. You know, I feel like those fish are on the outside edge. But you know, now, you know, we didn't get here till way late in the day, noon, high sun. I feel like, you know, if I was to go down this outside edge, I'm not gonna get a bite. I started off immediately today flipping back in there. And not only flipping in there, but then once, you gotta take it a step further. They're where the mat meets the higher grass. And you know, right here's a prime example. You got light green grass and a mat, and then you got dark green grass that's taller. And right where those things meet, that edge, just like deer hunting, you can see it really good right behind me. That's where those 3 bites have all been coming from, back in there a lot further than one would normally pitch. You know, they're not out here on this outside edge. They're back there like in water that deep. So probably back there eating bluegills and crawdads and everything else. So I gotta get me a new bait. Awesome. It just puts a smile on my face. I love flipping. Like all the time, kids and people ask, what's your favorite technique? And I always say, man, however I'm catching them. Like if you used to ask me today, flipping with braid, I like it. I like that a lot. I really, really do. So I don't know, it's on up there. One thing about mats and really thick pitching like this stuff, you know, where those meet, generally it's gonna be a lot easier to get your bait through. Because, you know, there's that mat, the wind's pushed up, and then it hits that wall of taller grass back there, that edge that I'm talking about. Right in there also is going to be an easiest place to get the bait in there. We got another bite. Look at that fish, how dark he is. He lives in that grass compared to those last ones. I mean, he is dark. Gotten on a really shallow stretch here, so I was going really fast. You know, a few of those bites have been deeper, and you know, this is really shallow. Like I'm only in 1.5 foot of water right here. Man, I like the way they're eating that thing. The last couple have got it. Oh, pretty fish. Now, I'm not saying that you know, this lake's probably got fish out deep too. I just, for me, if I had to go catch some bass when it gets hot and that water temperature gets really, really high, man, I'm gonna go shallow. And I just, through my career, I've been amazed when you get in that July and August time frame, how shallow those fish get. And again, I think it's just comfort, you know, oxygen, the wind blowing, you know, it's the best water content. If you think back to when you go swimming, and sometimes in dirty or off-colored lakes, you know, you feel how cold it is at your feet. That's that thermocline, like, you know, 4 or 5 feet below you. Well, they say there's no oxygen down below that stuff. So I think, you know, that's a big part of what happens until those lakes turn over. Yes, sirree. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, man. All I want to say is just try shallow. If you're struggling fishing in July, August, you know, into June, when that water gets hot, get up shallow and give it a try.